himself has said, you're forgiven. Clean slate. Go ahead. Go on. Get out of here. And you're still holding on to something that you shouldn't. That's a great problem among Christians. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish. We have proof of God's love. I mean, it's not just out there in space someplace, because he gave his own Son. And David Silva's sitting back there in a green shirt. I like David. But David, like me, is a sinful man. So, I think Jennifer's in here, and Sarah's in here, and I think Brooke, and Jessica, Ava. So, if I put Brother David over here, and I put these kids over here, which ones do you think I would most likely throw in the furnace first? Bye, Dave. So we have in the Old Testament animal sacrifices. We come to the New Testament and God solves the sin problem. Not because it was an animal sacrifice, not because it was a human being on earth. He sent his relative, his Son, to die and pay the consequences for us. That's how do you get past that without goosebumps when you start thinking about it? How do you get past that his Son died on the cross, was buried and resurrected because he wanted us back? And you know, when we die, we are a gift to Jesus. That's one of the things the Bible talks about and teaches. So as a Christian, when you die, you are presented as a gift from the Father to the Son because you accepted the Son and what he's done for you. You can go to church 20 years, and there's been more than one 20-year preacher baptized again because he wasn't really saved. It was a nice career. So some people just don't get it. They can sit here and be thinking about the beef roast and potatoes and carrots at home. Some people that are thinking that's just kind of not for me. Just sounds too weird. And other people want to argue, what about the pygmies in South America? Well, you haven't got very far in your questions and answerings. They just want to question and deny things. So how about, let's look at a few Ten Commandments before we close. How you doing with thou shalt not lie? Stretch a story. Give a time that you'll be there knowing you'll be late. How you doing with that? Any stretches of the truth come out? Okay, well, how you doing with a little bit of lust? You know, hard to go to Florida and the beach, huh, guys? Well, that's true, is it not? And one of my cancer doctors ran like 20 miles every morning. And one of my visitors said, ooh, look at those jeans. So we do look, don't we? We do have lustful things about items and other things other than that too. You shall not commit adultery. No other gods before me. Ooh, there's a big one. How big is your boat? How about your house at the lake? How about your condominium? How about your child? What are you doing with all these things? Pretty tough. And the Bible says that if you break one of them, you've broke them all. And even adultery, you know, that's if Jesus said if you look at someone with lust in your heart, you've committed adultery. So how can we can't pass this test It's impossible to pass the test because we're sinners. So God provided a way for us, an appropriate sacrifice to pay for our sin. God stepped in, and with Jesus, sin as a disease. You know, I have cancer. Other people have AIDS, they have heart attacks, they have pulmonary problems, all kinds of things. But the major disease every one of us has is sin. And we're not paying much attention to that, but we do worry about cancer and what the doctor says, and heart attacks and what the doctor says, and, you know, high cholesterol and what the doctor says. But we all are sinners, and some of us are not too worrisome about that. And maybe we should be. Jesus steps in time and solves the problem of sin and separation. Evil is selfishness, greed, lack of self-control, and that's the way the world is. So we teach our children, your kids probably Smithton or Houstonia or Smith Coffee or whatever that is, and believe me, there is a lot of language on those buses that I don't know. A lot of language that I can't repeat anymore. They're making up new words all the time. And you send your child to a public school, and how do you keep them on a straight path? The world is evil. God chose to take all the judgment to His Son through the cross. And on the cross, Jesus asked, "Why have you forsaken me?" Because judgment was on Him. I can tell you, I'll bet another donut home, that I think about that a lot more than you do. Because, you know, I've trusted in the Lord, but I've never been to heaven. You know, all I have is to trust in this book and Jesus Christ being in my soul and heart and being saved by Him and the promises given me in John 14. So we look around and we see our neighbor and we say, how is he doing that? You know, one of the worst things in the world is to live next to a loud, crappy neighbor. Their dogs come over to your house, burrow under the fence, all that kind of stuff. Well, there is a response that's required. And we are living in a world that is going to come and poo in your yard. That's the easiest way I can say it. And our job is to shovel it out and dish it out and put it back over the fence as fast as we can. Don't put it in a box and light it on fire out in the front. Aha, I see people have done that, huh? Okay, as we close today, one last illustration for you. I don't like flying. I used to. Been on big commercial jets. The Army sent me all kinds of places, you know, and across the Alaskan range made me the most uncomfortable, you know, and the stewardess had a big old black eye. It was uncomfortable. If she's got a black eye, where's the pilot and what's wrong with him? But when they will tell you at the beginning that if there is turbulence, then this thing is going to drop down. And most of you don't even listen to that anymore, do you? When you get on the flight. Well, and then you're supposed to do what with that message? But tell me what I'm supposed to do. Huh?
Place it over your nose and breathe normally.
Yes. Then I help Grandma. Because nobody's going to help her if you're dying at that time. The gospel is like that. How many times parents send their kids to church? Send their kids to VBS and they don't darken the door. That's what they're doing. They know it's valuable. They know the kids should go, but mom and dad stay home. And that's exactly what the airlines are trying to say. In order to save your children, help teach them about the Bible, then you put your belief into action first, not sending your kids to church. So, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today. I thank you, Lord, for watching over us. I thank you, Lord, that you have promised us a place to sleep, a place to rest, a mansion, as some would say, an apartment in heaven. And Lord, one of the things that I look forward to most is not being free from cancer. But I think Johnny also said the same thing in one of her books, that being free from sin and being wiped clean so you don't think about it, it's not present anymore, you don't have to worry about it, there is no guilt, he wipes away my tears. How good is that going to be? At the same time, we hate to lose the people that we love down here. But most of us don't think eternal enough. So I pray, Lord, that we can grasp onto eternity and keep our mind on that all the time, every day. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Okay.
Aren't you a great word?
What? Okay. Well, we got to baptize 3 people, and one of them is going to be a 2-time dunker. Okay, if folks to be baptized will meet me out by the kitchen. I'll show you where to get changed. Got the spotter ready. Because this, I'm glad you came today. You may see me get wet. Kevin was the tallest man I ever baptized. We only just both like that.